telling Americans there could be disruptions, that it's not a matter of if this will happen, but when. Dr. Jen Ashton is here tonight. What does this mean for American families and what you should be thinking about now? And the market plunging again tonight. President Trump on the world stage saying, I think it's going to work out fine. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill tonight demanding to know if the government is ready. And overseas, the Iranian health minister urging calm, sweating profusely. Later it was learned he has the virus. And in Spain, this resort now locked down, 1,000 tourists inside. Here at home tonight, the major winter storm turning deadly, some of the highest snow totals of the winter expected across the Midwest, then into the east. Ginger Z has the track. The high-stakes debate tonight in South Carolina. Bernie Sanders, the front-runner, facing new scrutiny over what he said about Fidel Castro and Cuba. Harvey Weinstein rushed to the hospital after being found guilty of rape and sex assault. And tonight, our new ABC News interview just in. One of his accusers in the case and her reaction. The 6-year-old girl in tears arrested at school, her hands tied behind her back. What's now happened to the officer? The Catholic deacon attacked during Mass. And news tonight on our parent company, Disney. Bob Iger, after a storied run, stepping down as CEO, calling it an historic day. Tonight, Iger right here with his replacement and Bob Iger's new role.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. And we begin tonight with that new warning from the CDC about the coronavirus here in the U.S., saying it is not a question of if, but when, and saying Americans should prepare. Tonight, the CDC reports the number of those sick stands at 57 in the U.S., all of them in quarantine and in treatment. The warning comes in part after the virus spread quickly across several towns in Italy. More than 200 cases reported. At least 10 people have died. And an Italian tourist testing positive on a Spanish resort island, a large hotel with 1,000 guests now on lockdown inside. And look at this tonight. In Iran, the deputy health minister testing positive for the virus after appearing visibly ill during a news conference meant to calm nerves about the outbreak. President Trump tonight saying he thinks it's going to work out fine, but lawmakers on the Hill asking questions. We begin with ABC's Steve Osunsami at the CDC in Atlanta.
U.S. health authorities tonight say there's no doubt we'll see more of this. Americans sick with the coronavirus who need to be kept in isolation.
The doors are specially sealed.
Carl Goldman is one of 57 Americans fighting the disease.
We are asking the American public to work with us to prepare in the expectation that this could be bad.
In their most clear warning yet, the CDC all but promises that the coronavirus will spread here and that Americans need to prepare.
We expect we will see community spread in this country. It's not so much a question of if this will happen anymore, but rather more a question of exactly when this will happen and how many people in this country will have severe illness. We really want to prepare the American public for the possibility that their lives will be disrupted because of this pandemic.
At a 3M factory in South Dakota where they make masks and respirators that help protect from the disease, they're working 24/7 and still can't produce them fast enough.
We're told by the experts at NIH, CDC, that there is a very strong chance of an extremely serious outbreak of the coronavirus here in the United States.
In a hearing in Washington today, the government shared that it could need about 300 million respirators to be used by healthcare workers, but only has about 30 million on hand. That didn't go over well.
Sorry, I don't understand the question. Head of Homeland Security, do we have enough respirators or not?
What has authorities alarmed are the clusters of outbreaks happening outside of Asia that are not directly connected to Asia. On the Canary Islands off the eastern coast of Africa, more than 1,000 tourists are trapped in a hotel because an Italian guest came down with the virus. In Italy, more than 322 confirmed cases, with 10 people dead, and they haven't even found the source of the outbreak. In Iran, at least 15 people were killed by the virus and nearly 100 are sick, including this health minister, who yesterday was on camera downplaying the danger as he's seen coughing and wiping his brow. Today he learned he too has the coronavirus. The Trump administration today was trying to bring calm to both the panic and the economic markets. Stocks are down today again.
We have contained this, I won't say airtight, but pretty close to airtight.
The president says they're throwing everything at this.
Very well under control in our country. We Yeah, very few people with it. The people are getting better. They're all getting better.
They're hoping the virus dies out with warm weather.
And so let's get to Steve Osunsami with us tonight outside the CDC. And Steve, I know we learned late today that some American college students studying abroad are now coming home from Italy tonight, at least one university.
That's right, David. Syracuse University is suspending its study abroad program because of the coronavirus in Florence, Italy. This affects some 342 students who they now have to bring home, make arrangements to get them back to the U.S. Currently, the U.S. government has no travel restrictions to Italy because of the coronavirus.
All right. Steve Osunsami tonight. Steve, thank you. We know a lot of you at home have questions tonight, so let's get right to our medical editor, Dr. Jen Ashton. And Jen, that warning from the CDC that Americans should prepare, they said not if, but when. This sounds alarming, so let's try to reassure some folks at home tonight who are going to want to know the numbers, the severity, how this is affecting people, what we know so far.
Well, we still don't know the exact numbers worldwide, David, with countries like China and Iran likely not fully reporting, and other countries may not be capable of reporting. But of the cases we do know, it appears that 3% cause critical disease, 15% cause severe symptoms, and about 82% then cause mild infection.
82%. That's going to be encouraging for people watching tonight. And when you heard the CDC warning that American families should prepare, I assume they don't mean a run on grocery stores right now. What are they hoping for?
Yeah, I don't think they meant to rush out to the grocery store, David. I think that some common sense precautions do apply here. Go down a mental checklist to make sure that you're ready. Reach out to some school contacts if you have children in school about any possible contingency plans that might include child care providers, and stock up on a few home supplies just so that you're not doing this at the last minute. I think it's really important now to act based on evidence, not emotion.
All right, Jen Ashton with us tonight. Dr. Ashton, thank you. And this warning from the CDC fueling new fears on Wall Street. The Dow plunging for a second day now, falling 879 points, nearly 2,000 points in 2 days. So let's get right to ABC's chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis. She's live at the New York Stock Exchange again tonight. Rebecca?
Good evening to you, David. That's right. In just the last 2 days, the Dow has lost 1,910 points, and U.S. stocks have wiped out $1.7 trillion in value. Some of the hardest hit companies are those airline stocks, down 12% in the last 2 days. United, American, and Delta alone have wiped out about $6 billion in their value. And Apple, a company that's in a lot of retirement savings accounts and a lot of 401ks out there, is now down, David, 12% from the all-time high it hit earlier this month. David?
The ripple effect being felt again tonight. Rebecca, thank you. In the meantime, we're going to turn next tonight to the race for 2020 and the high-stakes debate this evening in South Carolina. The clear frontrunner on the Democratic side at this point, Bernie Sanders, facing new scrutiny. ABC's Mary Bruce tonight from South Carolina.
Bernie Sanders is the new top target, and he's giving his rivals fresh ammunition, defending his recent praise of Fidel Castro.
He initiated a major literacy program. You know what? I think teaching people to read and write is a good thing. The truth is the truth. And that's what happened in the first years of the Castro regime.
The comments sending shockwaves. A spokeswoman for the DNC says we are very clear in the Democratic Party that we speak out against brutal dictatorships like those of Castro.
As a Democrat, I don't want to be explaining why our nominee is encouraging people to look on the bright side of the Castro regime.
Joe Biden is attacking Sanders on another front, highlighting this statement from 2011.
I think it would be a good idea if President Obama faced some primary opposition.
Sanders defends himself.
In fact, I ended up campaigning for Obama, and I'm a strong supporter of all that Barack Obama has accomplished.
But Biden hopes the comments fire up African-American voters heading into Saturday's must-win primary.
It all starts here in South Carolina. It starts here for real, for real.
Michael Bloomberg tonight is looking for a do-over after he flatlined in the last debate, pummeled over allegations of sexism.
None of them accused me of doing anything other than maybe they didn't like the joke I told. And let me point.
His girlfriend, Diana Taylor, now says everyone needs to get over it.
Life has changed. I grew up in that world. It was a bro culture. We have come a very, very long way. It was 30 years ago. Get over it.
All right, Mary Bruce live in Charleston tonight. And Mary, the Bloomberg campaign quick to try to distance itself from those comments today, as the former mayor surely knows he's got to do better tonight than he did in the last debate.
Yes, David, Bloomberg's team says Taylor was speaking for herself there and not for the campaign. Now, Bloomberg has barely been seen since the last debate. Instead, he has been intensely preparing. And of course, he has now offered to release 3 women who have filed complaints against his company from their confidentiality agreements. But, David, that is not likely to satisfy his opponents like Elizabeth Warren. David.
Mary Bruce with us again tonight. Mary, thank you. And to the major business headline this evening, news from our parent company, Disney. After a storied run, our longtime CEO, Bob Iger, stepping down in that role to become executive chairman. And stepping in as CEO, Bob Chapek, who had been chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. For Bob Iger, the move caps an extraordinary run at the top. He will stay on for a time. And in a note to all of us who work for Disney today, Bob called it an historic day. Here's ABC's Kana Whitworth tonight, who spoke with both leaders just a short time ago.
Tonight, passing the torch at the Walt Disney Company. The board announcing Bob Iger stepping down as CEO effective immediately. Iger saying it's an optimal time to transition after 15 years leading the company to focus on creative endeavors at Disney.
I needed to spend more time on the creative side of our businesses because there's really nothing more important, particularly with the new strategy that we have in place. But in order for me to do that, I had to pass the reins on to someone else, this gentleman, as it turns out.
As Disney's 6th CEO, Iger oversaw tremendous growth.
New toys!
Acquiring Pixar, Marvel, and its Avengers franchise, including revolutionary blockbuster Black Panther. Iger says attending its premiere was a day he won't forget. And Lucasfilm expanding the Disney universe to include Star Wars.
The Force will be with you.
While also building on Disney's Oscar-winning franchises. Most recently adding 21st Century Fox and launching the Disney Plus and ESPN Plus streaming services. Iger's successor, Bob Chapek, who most recently served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, says he has big shoes to fill.
I've had the opportunity to watch Bob work his magic at Disney now for 15 years, and I have plenty of awe in terms of recognizing what he's done, what he's accomplished.
And after 45 years at the company, Iger still looking ahead.
No, I don't think I'm going to back off at all. My new role will be a full-time job, and I have a lot to do.
It must feel pretty powerful to have someone like that in your corner.
It's nice to have Bob Iger in your corner.
Absolutely. And Bob Iger will remain executive chairman of the board until 2021 to oversee this process. He's assured me, David, he'll be waking up at 4:15 to get his job done. And of course, Disney is the parent company of ABC News. David.
All right, Kana Whitworth with the interview just in tonight. Kana, thank you. Of course, we welcome Bob Chapek to the new role tonight. And of course, we thank Bob Iger, who many of us here are lucky enough to call a friend. He would often visit the newsroom unannounced, asking, what's the lead? And we hope for many visits to come from both. We turn to the other news tonight, though, and the major winter storm gaining strength and turning deadly. 16 states on alert from Wyoming to Maine. The storm already battering parts of Colorado with blinding snow, treacherous driving in Kansas, an accident taking one life. Some of the highest snow totals in the Midwest are expected for the winter, and then the system moves into the east. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee with the track again tonight for us. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, David, we've got this kind of cold rain out ahead of the system, but there's 2 areas I'd like you to point to. Back there in Kansas, where they've seen 13 inches just east of Sylvan Grove, kind of in central Kansas. And then Chicago's starting to get snow, South Bend, Fort Wayne, over to Detroit and Toledo. Let me time it out for you. Really important to see by tomorrow morning when everybody's trying to go to school or work, if school is not canceled, by the way. So it's anywhere from northern Indiana right through Ohio. But by Wednesday night into Thursday, it starts to slide east, so it's a Buffalo up along the Canadian border. It's heavy rain, David, right here at the coast.
What a scene there behind you, the fog we can see there, Ginger, and that system on the way. Thank you. In other news now, Harvey Weinstein rushed to the hospital after his conviction on criminal sex assault and rape. He's there tonight before going to the city's infamous Rikers Island, and also this evening, the interview just in, as some of his accusers now speak out about the verdict. ABC's Ariel Reshef tonight outside Bellevue Hospital.
A day after that bombshell guilty verdict, Harvey Weinstein hospitalized after experiencing heart palpitations.
I was pleasantly surprised that he was in pretty good spirits.
Corrections officers guarding the hospital room of the now convicted sex offender, who will soon head to the infamous Rikers Island. A spokesperson for Weinstein telling ABC News he is working with a prison consultant to prepare for what his life will be like behind bars. The disgraced movie mogul